Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about using the shotgun for home defense, and specifically we're going to be addressing the issue of, is it the best choice? Okay. Now, I do a lot of shotgun shooting. I mean, if you look on the ground over here, I mean, you'll see the cases all over the place. Sometimes the pile is even a lot higher than that. If you looked at my my prior videos, I will typically go, between my own shooting and training other people, I'll typically go through about 1,000 rounds a month of this stuff, okay? Now, talking about the ammunition, we got 100 rounds right here. It weighs 9.5 pounds, okay? You can see how big and bulky it is. Compare that to 9mm. I have 100 rounds here, 2.5 pounds, okay? So 2.5 pounds of 9mm. And the same thing if you compare that to 223 556 for the AR-15, 100 rounds, again 2.5 pounds, 2.5 pounds. Okay, so right away we can see that the shotgun is at a disadvantage as far as storing the ammunition. The ammunition is both heavier and more bulky, and it's way more of a pain in the ass for me to buy this stuff than it is to buy this stuff. This stuff is a lot easier for me to buy. Okay, I don't mean easier as far as finding it. I'm talking about easier as far as putting it in bags and just bringing it to where I need to bring it. Okay, moving the shotgun ammo around. A lot of times I have to go to different locations, and I'm bringing a few hundred rounds with me. This stuff's heavy. All right, so that's something to keep in mind as far as the shotgun, the ammunition side of it. Now let's talk about the shotgun itself. And we're not going to talk about tactics and techniques. I did another video on that. You guys can basically search that out. Basically it's like home defense with the shotgun. The title of that, something like that. What we're going to talk about is the shotgun as far as compared to other guns, and is this the best choice? Now, keep in mind that a lot of the people that I train, they live in New York City, and the shotgun is the easiest gun that they're able to legally buy. They have to go through a lot of loopholes to get handguns and rifles. So that's the reason why they use the shotgun. And if that's the case, that's fine. And that's one of the reasons why I do teach home defense and personal protection with the shotgun. But there are some distinct disadvantages. Okay. The biggest mistakes that I see, both new shooters and also people that shoot all the time, even amongst competition shooters, when they, this tube only holds 5 rounds, and if you have an extended tube, it might hold an extra 3 rounds, but typically these tubes only hold 5 rounds. When they go to reload, people drop the shells. Okay, so that is a very common error that I see. And basically, yeah, you're trying to load this thin shell into this thin tube over here. Even if you practice and you're experienced, occasionally you're gonna drop them. I mean, I drop them sometimes. You can see how much shooting I do here. I mean, it's I practice all the time. You're gonna drop shells. You're gonna fumble them. Okay, so that is the most common error that I see amongst new shooters and also amongst experienced shooters. The other error that I usually see, usually just amongst new shooters and people that don't train regularly, is when they work the action, they don't pump it hard enough to get the empty case out and then to chamber the next round. Okay, so that's the next most common error that I see with people that try to use this gun, either for defensive shooting or with shooting clay birds or something like that. They're not going to pump this hard enough. Okay. The next error that I'll see is a lot like right now. I just pumped this. The firing pin is in the rear position. This thing is locked. It will not open. And when I'm putting people under stress and pressure, a lot of times they just get flustered. They don't know what to do here. They forget that there's this button over here that you got to push in order to release this. Okay. And then finally, the other most common error that I see people do is they forget if the safety's on or off. Okay. And if I'm training people, I'm having them move to different positions. Safety has to go on when you move from one position to another. When they get to the next position, they forgot to take the safety off before they shoot. Okay, so there's 4 errors, 4 possibilities for error that are very easy to make with a shotgun. Okay, now compared to a Glock, almost none of that's there. Okay, you have, one magazine that's easy to hold in your hand. This one holds 17 rounds. Goes in, okay, right. Chamber it, the gun's ready to fire. Okay, you're not gonna drop the bullets if they're already in the magazine. Okay, as long as you get it in there and you get a good seating. Okay, you're not gonna, you won't have any problems getting a round in the chamber. Okay. Now with the handgun, you only have two parts of your body on the gun. You got your two hands, so the actual shooting part, of aiming takes a little bit more effort. You have to, make sure you line up the sights and before you fire. A lot of people make the mistake. Of thinking that if you got a shotgun and you load it, let's say with buckshot, you don't need to aim the gun, that you can just fire from the hip. Well, here's the thing to understand that, if you load this with buckshot, the average size of a room is, let's say, about 20 feet. Within 20 feet, that buckshot's only going to spread about 3-4 inches, okay? So at 3-4 feet, under 20 feet, your pattern's about that big. So if you're not aiming, if you're aiming over here, let's say I'm the bad guy, and you're aiming here or here or here or here, you're not going to hit me. You're going to miss, okay? So it's incorrect to say that you don't need to aim with the shotgun, especially at close distances, okay? The shotgun, usually provides some type of a pattern, depending on what you're shooting and the length of your barrel. And that pattern, basically your shot's going to start small, right, about the size of, bore size, and as it goes further out, it's going to spread out. So if, at close distance, where the shot's still really tight, it's actually pretty easy to miss, all right? If I'm standing here and you're shooting out here, you can shoot right past my head and not hit me, okay? Likewise, if I'm too far out, right, if I'm out, let's say at 150 feet, that buckshot is going to spread so far out that you can have one shot come here and one shot go here, all right, and not hit me, okay? So at a certain point, the shot spreads out too much. So there's kind of like a sweet spot in between, right? So it's an error to say that you don't need to aim the shotgun. You do need to aim the shotgun, especially at close distances, right? So let's compare that to another shotgun option. Okay. We got the Saiga 12 here. And basically, semi-automatic shotgun. Basically, there's an AK-47 shotgun. Takes a magazine, right? You chamber your round, all right? And basically now, because the ammunition's contained in the magazine, you don't have that loading problem. Well, basically, you can keep the magazine loaded in the gun, and basically all you gotta do is just chamber that round, and you're good to go. Or have the round already chambered with the safety on, right? And then all you gotta do is flip it down, okay? The problem is that there's two problems with this. Number one, in a lot of those places like New York City where you're limited to a shotgun, you can't have this gun anyway, okay? So this gun isn't going to do you any good over there. And secondly, if you're living in an area where you can have this gun, why limit yourself to a 10-round magazine? This magazine only takes 10 rounds because the 12 gauge is so big. Why not go with an AR-15, which takes a 30-round magazine? And as I showed you at the beginning of the video, the ammunition is both smaller and lighter, so you can keep a lot more of it on hand. All right. So now, one of the concerns of using a gun like this might be over penetration. Okay, you might live in an apartment and you don't want the ammunition that you would be shooting in self-defense going through multiple apartments. So in that case, we have the 9mm rifle. Again, 20-round magazine. The ammunition would be contained in the magazine, so it's really easy to get in there. Chamber your round. Guns ready to go. Now, with this, with the rifle, you can have your flashlight set up over here. Okay, right, and you got your red dot. And for home defense and in general, I like red dots that have big knobs because when I pick this gun up, it's really easy for me to just flip that knob. And I don't like fussing with buttons, especially if I got gloves on or if it's dark. I want a nice big knob that I can just turn. Okay, so that's my personal preference. I like red dots with knobs. I also like red dots that take AAA batteries, as opposed to the round batteries, because the AAA batteries are just a lot easier for me to find and replace them if I need to. I would store this gun with the sights up, All right, so that when I come up, the sights are up. I would turn my red dot on, come up, I see my red dot, and then if I want, I can flip the sights out of the way. Okay. So how you store the gun, that's a topic for another discussion. All right, we're not going to talk about different ways of storing the gun and having it readily available for when you need it. We're just talking about choice of gun here. All right. So with the 9mm with the 9mm rifle, we have the advantage of a 20-round magazine in this Beretta. This is the Beretta CX4 Storm, 20-round magazine, and then we have the benefit of being able to mount lights and red dots on it. Okay. Now, the disadvantage of this is obviously it's a bigger gun compared to the handgun. Okay. With the handgun, it's obviously smaller, more compact. It takes a little bit more. All these guns take some training, but the issue that I find with a lot of people who don't train often enough is that basically they miss with the handgun because they're not taking the time to line up their sights. Okay, for home defense, I really like the idea of having a red dot. I do a lot of night shooting. Okay, and at night you really can't, or in night or at low light conditions, because remember, if you're having a situation where somebody's, where you have to defend your home, there's a good chance that there's a blackout going on, or a power shortage, and you don't have lights. Okay, so I want to be able to flip this thing on, to a low setting, okay, and have that red dot to help me aim the gun. Okay, so to me, the red dot is a big advantage. They're starting to catch on a little bit with the pistols, but they're not there all the way yet. I also like a light on the gun. That will help me. I also want to have a second flashlight because I don't always want to use my gun as a flashlight and point this everywhere I want to see. I want to have a second flashlight, point the light around, and then, if I see that there's a threat, then I'll come to this light, and get on target. Okay, so I don't necessarily want to use my gun as a flashlight. But there's some things to think about, and just to recap, the main disadvantages of the shotgun. The ammunition is bulky. It's very easy to fumble the ammunition as you're feeding it. It's really easy for new shooters to not rack this hard enough to chamber, to cycle the rounds and chamber them. And then there's the issue with the release button here that sometimes people forget. They forget when to use it. And when not to use it. Sometimes I'll see people trying to use it when they're not supposed to use it. And also the safety on this can be, because it's got that sliding safety that goes back and forth, that people a lot of times will forget to turn on and off. So there's some things for you guys to think about. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you guys next time.